Hello and welcome to week 9 of the Country Garden Crochet Along, and this week we're going to be making the tulip stitch, and we're going to be adding this onto the other long side of our lawn that we haven't started on yet. Okay, so how do we make it? Okay, so I'm starting with this green colour, and we're going to be starting in the stitch after where we finished our wiggle stitch. Okay, so our wiggle stitch finished in this second stitch of our corner stitch, and we are starting our tulip stitch in the stitch next to that. And we're going to join with a standing double crochet. So if you've not done a standing stitch before, you're going to be wrapping yarn around 2 fingers. So wrap around, but when you come round again, let's put that down, wrap the yarn over to the left of the first wrap. Get your hook under that right hand thread and pull the other thread through, and then pull tight, and that just leaves a loop on your hook to act as our starting loop. Then yarn over, make sure you have the 2 loops on your hook there, and go into your first stitch, and then just make a double crochet as you would usually. And there you have your standing double crochet. I'll just pop a stitch marker in there. Okay, so we've got that in our first stitch, and in the next stitch we're going to make another double crochet. Then chain 1, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the stitch after that, all in the same stitch, we're going to make a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, all in the same stitch. Okay, so you get this V, okay, with a chain space at the top. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in the next stitch, same again, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in the same stitch. Oops. Yeah. Get rid of that. Okay, and we're going to repeat this all the way down the row. Skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, chain 1, and then double crochet, all in the same stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go finish this row, and I shall see you at the end of the row. Okay, so I've got towards the end of the row, and I've got 3 stitches left, and my last stitch will be that first stitch of the corner stitch. Okay, so that's stitch 3 there, and that's where I'm finishing. So that where we've got those 2 double crochet in the same stitch, the first one is our last stitch of this row. Okay, so 3 stitches left. I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip the next stitch, and then I'm going to double crochet in the last 2 stitches. 1 and 2, and that is the end of row 1. Okay, so for row 2 we're going to start with our first colour, and that's going to be what you want your flower colour to be. Okay, so I'm going to join my next colour into the top of that last double crochet, which I shouldn't have finished. I should have left the last 2 loops on my hook, but easily corrected. Right, so I'm not going to cut off that green, but I'm going to join in this new colour. We'll come back to the green later, and I'm just going to turn. Excuse me, the bigger this gets, the more awkward it gets to turn on camera, but we shall deal. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and in that first stitch I'm going to make my turning chain, so it should be a double crochet height. Here we go. Okay, so in the next stitch you're going to make a double crochet, and then chain 1. Okay, so we're going to skip this chain 1 here, and we're going to go straight into this chain 1 in the V stitch. Okay, and we're going to make a popcorn stitch. So into this chain 1 space you're going to make 5 double crochet. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Come on yarn, don't get stuck. Okay. That's 4, 1 more, and 5. And then pull up a loop. Now because we're working this from the back, we want it to pull together on the front. So I'm going to put my hook in backwards for this one. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the loop from the 5th double crochet, so I'll put my hook into the 1st double crochet of the popcorn, and then I'm going to put it back into that loop we just finished with. Oops. And then I'm going to slip stitch through that first one, and then it's gathered together at the front. So if you want to gather, so if this was the front and you wanted to gather this at the front, you would put your hook in forwards, but because we're working on the back, the hook went in through the back of the stitch and slip stitch, draw it close, and then we get a lovely tulip on the front. Okay, so after you've done your popcorn and you slip stitch through, you're going to chain 2. And now we go straight to the next popcorn in the next stitch. So exactly the same way, make 5 double crochet in that chain 1 space in the V-stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so you complete the double crochet, pull up a loop, and take your hook out. So working from the back of that first double crochet of that popcorn, so there's the first double crochet, and I'm going in my hook from the back to the front of that stitch. I'm going to hook up the loop from our 5th double crochet. Okay, so just remember, when you're putting your hook through that first double crochet to slip stitch through with the 5th, you're putting your hook in from back to front. Okay, so I'm going to finish that row and I shall see you when we get to the end. So I finished that last popcorn and now I'm going to chain 1. Okay, and then we skip this chain space and this double crochet here, and in the last 2 stitches we'll make a double crochet in each stitch. Okay, and then I'm finished with that colour and I'm going to cut off once I get my scissors because I forgot to bring them over here. But now you can turn, and we're going to go back over to the left side, but first take a look at these tulips. Here they all are, nicely just popping out a little bit because of those slip stitches at the back. I know they look so nice all in a row. So next we need to set up ready for our next row of tulips. So row 3 is going to be a single crochet row, and then we'll add another row of tulips above that. Okay, so to start the next row I'm going to pick up this green. So it's on the left hand side, so I'm going to turn back. And this is where I get myself untangled. Okay, so we're working back on the back side again. So I'm going to just take out that stitch marker and get my hook into that first stitch, and then I'm just going to draw up that green, oops, want it on the back, and just pull through and chain 1. So I'm just going to carry it up. So we finished this row 2 on the back side, and we're just working on the back side again and drawing up the green from row 1. Okay, so this is a single crochet row. I'm going to chain 1, and in that first stitch I'm going to make a single crochet. Okay, so put my stitch marker in there. Okay, and then I'm going to make a single crochet in the next double crochet as well. Okay. So into the chain 1 space between our double crochet and our popcorn, we'll make a single crochet. Into our slip stitch behind our popcorns, we're going to make a single crochet. In the chain 2 space between our popcorns, we'll make 2 single crochet. Okay, right, so the space where you go into your single crochet in the popcorn is here. So we've got our 2 single crochet here. This is the first double crochet of the popcorn. This here is, if I pull it, the 5th double crochet of a popcorn, and in between you've got this sort of gap, and that's where you put your stitch, and it kind of looks like it's in that chain 1 space, but to be honest, no, that's not the right space. As long as it looks right, I won't worry too much. If it looks right to you and your hook goes in, it's going in there, then it'll even out. So in the chain 2 space you make 2 single crochet. In the popcorn I'm going in there, there we go, 1 single crochet, and then a single crochet in the chain 2 space, and you keep going like that all the way across the row. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you when we get to the end of the row. Okay, so I've just done a single crochet on our last popcorn, and I'm going to finish the row with a single crochet in that chain 1 space, and then single crochet in the last 2 double crochet. Okay, and that is row 3 complete. Okay, so now I'm going to turn. I'm going to carry on with the same green, and we're going to do a repeat of row 1, and that is our V stitches to make our next set of tulips. So to start, we're going to chain 1 and make your double crochet turning chain in the first stitch. I'm just going to move the stitch marker up, and then you're going to double crochet in the next stitch. So then you skip the next stitch, and in the stitch after that you're going to make a V stitch. So double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet all in the same stitch. Then skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch do the same. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet all in the same stitch, and repeat exactly as we did in row 1. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you at the end of the row. Okay, so I finished my last V stitch and I've got 3 stitches left. So we skip the next stitch and then double crochet, so then we chain 1, skip the next stitch and then double crochet in the last 2 stitches. Okay, and I'm going to leave the last 2 loops of that stitch on my hook so we can change colour. Okay, so I'm going to go get my new colour, and then we'll be making another row of our tulips. Okay, so I'm going to join this lovely pink into those last 2 stitches, and then I'm just going to turn. So I'm not cutting off the green, we've got one more row to do with that. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and this is a repeat of row 2. Okay, so we're going to start in the first stitch with a double crochet turning chain, and then going to double crochet in the next stitch as well, and then chain 1. Okay, so we're going to start up popcorn in this stitch, and we're making it the exact same way as we did in row 2. So make 5 double crochet in that chain 1 space. Oops. A bit more yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pull up the loop, go back to that first double crochet, insert your hook from back to front, grab that loop and then slip stitch through, and then chain 2, and then repeat all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead with that, and I shall see you when I get to the end of the row. Okay, so I've got to the end of the row with my last popcorn, and I've chained 1. So now I'm going to skip this third to last stitch, and then we're going to double crochet in the last 2 stitches. And there we go. Our last tulip stitch complete. So I finished with this colour. I'm going to cut off, pull that through, like that. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning of the row, because row 6 we're going back to the green. So we need to pull it up and join back in to the first stitch of our tulip row. I'm going to pull up the back there, pull through and chain 1. So this is a repeat of row 3, so it's a single crochet row, and I'm going to single crochet in that first stitch, stitch marker in, single crochet in the next stitch, then make a single crochet in that chain 1 space, then a single crochet into the popcorn stitch, and 2 single crochet into that chain 2 space. 1 and 2, and then 1 into the popcorn again. So repeat that all the way across. 1 single crochet in the middle of that popcorn, and then 2 single crochet in that chain 2 space, and repeat all the way across. I'm going to go ahead and finish that, and I shall see you at the end of the row. Okay, so I've done my last single crochet in the last popcorn stitch. So now I'm going to make a single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then single crochet in the last 2 double crochet. And then that is it. That is week 9 complete. So you can cut off your green now. Oops, that's done. Oh dear. Pull that through. And I'm just going to turn it over to the right side, and there we go. 2 rows of lovely tulips. So that's it for week 9. And you can go ahead and weave in your ends. And I shall see you next week for week 10. Bye for now.